I quit my job. Not on a whim, not in a blaze of glory, but because staying meant losing myself. And after all the work that I've done to find myself, that really simply just was not an option. This video is not about burnout. It's about what happens after. The fear, the freedom, the messy middle part. And if you've ever had to start over from scratch, this one's for you. Howdy humans, welcome. If you're new here, hi. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank y'all so much for spending some of your time with me today. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about what happens after you quit. The fear, the chaos of kind of figuring out what comes next, and the freedom. Because sometimes choosing yourself, even if that means walking away from stability, is the most responsible thing that you can do. Now, I've been playing the corporate game for years, but this last job, man, it was sucking the life out of me. I was stressed out, I was anxious all the time, and I was constantly on edge, even when I wasn't working. This is Rumple. Hi. He apparently needed to make an appearance in today's video. So anyways, I left. Not because I had another job lined up, but because it was toxic and I was just done. My health was tanking, my stress was through the roof, and every morning I would wake up and I would look at my laptop like it was some kind of enemy combatant. Leaving was terrifying, but staying kind of felt like a slow death. Now I'm unemployed. And I'm trying to remind myself that this time I'm not broke. I'm not desperate. I'm just in a reset, which sounds nice until your brain starts screaming like the apocalypse is coming. I've been here before, that choosing between food and bills broke, and that kind of panic leaves scars. Even now, with savings in the bank, there's a part of me that is still in that survival mode. All of those old feelings are back. The what ifs, the financial trauma, the panic of not knowing what's next. It's not my reality anymore, but it still feels the same. So now I've been catching myself sliding into that do not spend a dime mode. It's if I just lock everything down tight enough, then I'll be safe. Everything will be fine. I'm doing a pantry clean out, not eating out, no extras. It's that whole survival instinct kicking in. But here's the thing, that mindset actually does not keep me safe. It just keeps me scared. And that's what I'm trying to unlearn right now. You see, that's the thing about financial trauma. It doesn't just disappear when your bank balance goes up. It kind of goes into hiding. You can have savings and a plan and still feel that kind of panicky gut clench every time you see money leaving your account. You can be a total budgeting badass and still feel guilty buying yourself a $5 cup of coffee. That's scarcity mindset. It's not about the math. It's about fear. Fear that no matter what you do, you'll never be okay. So right now, I'm working on moving from survival mode to stability mode. And here's what that actually looks like. When I left my job, the first thing that I had to do was sit down and actually look at my money. I needed to look at my income because I do still have child support coming in, and I'm trying to do some kind of side hustle kind of stuff to have something coming in. I needed to look at my expenses and see what the outflow looked like on a monthly basis. And I needed to look at my savings to kind of see where exactly I stood. The goal wasn't to spiral or punish myself or anything like that, but just to develop a plan. And honestly, it was scary as hell, and I didn't want to do it. When you're healing your relationship with money, that first look is always the hardest. Your brain wants to say, don't look, it's safer not to know. But you can't fix what you're afraid to face. So naturally, when I left, I did what any self-respecting, burned out budgeter would do, and I went into total lockdown mode. I immediately took inventory of my pantry and started meal planning based on what was already there to keep my grocery bill low. I have almost completely cut out takeout. A girl's gotta eat. No extras. And at first, it felt responsible. But scarcity mode isn't safety. It's just fear dressed up in a really nice outfit. Now, I'm flipping the script. or trying to anyway. Instead of I can't spend, it's I choose where my money goes. It's a tiny shift, but it's a huge difference in mindset. Fear-based budgeting burns you out. Intentional budgeting builds stability without stealing your joy. My goal now is to spend with intention and not panic, because it's not just about surviving. It's about living smarter even when money's tight. Even when you're like technically okay, all the bills are paid, there's food in the pantry, the lights are on, your brain can still act like it's the apocalypse every time something unexpected happens. As an example, I've been getting medical bills lately because of like all the medical gunk I talked about in my last video. I have a fund for that. I have a medical savings fund, but I still find myself kind of looking at those bills and saying, but what if I need that money in a couple of months to actually like pay rent or buy groceries, that sort of thing, which is ridiculous because this is what I saved that money for. But the panic doesn't care. It shows up anyway, trying to steal my peace. And like, don't even get me started on checking my bank account. I open up that app and my body goes into full like fight or flight panic mode before the numbers even load. And I'm like, girl, calm down. It's just me. I'm not stealing your money. So some days I'm a budgeting monk, like not a penny leaves my hands without lots of thought and decision making. And then the next day I'm at Dunkin' getting my emotional support coffee. And I tell myself, you know what? Like, this is self-care and I deserve self-care. And yes, that's true. It kind of is. But that pendulum swing between like total restriction and total impulse, that's leftover programming from survival mode. Back when bills or food were a gamble, and there were so many times that we just said, if we can just make it to tax time, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Even now, those memories are just whispering in my head, safety is temporary. Our bodies carry the scars of those past struggles. It remembers the panic, the hunger, the fear. In their own way, they're trying to protect us from ever going through that ever again. Sometimes that protection looks like holding on to every dollar, holding on to stress long after the danger is gone, or even panicking at things that are actually safe. It's exhausting, but it's also proof of how resilient we've been and just how strong we are. But here's the truth I'm trying to live in now. Leaving that job, it was not reckless. It was survival. I'm not failing. I'm healing. And part of that healing is learning to trust myself with money again. Not just to spend wisely, but to really believe that I'm okay doing so. When everything feels unstable, I have to remind myself, right now, in this moment, I'm safe. Sometimes that means watching a comfort show, making a cup of coffee, or actually looking at my account balance instead of just avoiding it. Because healing isn't just about saving money. It's about proving to yourself that you're okay, even when your past is screaming at you that you're not. Job loss has a way of digging up old wounds. The ones that you thought were behind you, you thought you were done with all of that. It can make you relive the panic of those past financial struggles, the nights of scraping by, and that fear that you're never going to catch up. And you might be living that right now, right along with me. But here's the truth. Your worth is not tied to a paycheck. Healing from financial trauma isn't about earning more money or never making mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're human after all. It's about learning to trust yourself again, trusting that you can handle uncertainty, that you can make choices that are aligned with your values, and that you are capable of building a life that feels safe and fulfilling. Your past informs you, but it doesn't define you. You're allowed to feel the fear without letting it control you. That's where the growth happens. So that's where I'm at. Budgeting in the real world with all my old fears just tagging along like the world's worst baggage. There's panic, there's old programming, and goodness me, there are gonna be emotional support lattes. But this time, I'm not letting that fear drive. Surviving is not the same as thriving, and we are gonna thrive. We are gonna learn to trust ourselves again, spend with intention, and prove that we're safe. Now, the next video, we're gonna put this to the test. I'm gonna start a 30-day challenge. that begins with developing and sticking to my unemployed budget. We're gonna see what happens. If you're on this journey too, drop me a comment down below and let me know, like, what's one small way that you're reclaiming control over your money or your life right now. Let's build a community where we can be real and supportive and honest, because none of us have to face this alone. And if you want more videos about moving from survival to stability, beating that scarcity mindset, and thriving while living with and healing from financial trauma, hit subscribe and join the Human Budgets community. I'll see you next time.